So, like, why did you want to be away from family?
There's no reason that my friend should have my back more than my family does, you know? Family is almost like it is a forced relationship, but that distance it makes you not force your relationship. It makes you want to choose it. And if you choose it, it's so much easier and better. And then you can also go home. And you're like, okay, I don't rely on you anymore.
Do you know when you have your period, you shouldn't do like anything that you need to use your brain a lot of, because it doesn't operate at like its full extent.
Like, I am a whole other person to the point I'm like, I feel like I have situational depression the week before my period. He was like, an IVF baby is still it's still a real baby.
Yes.
It's just where it is made, and ethically, depending on where you get your diamonds, like, they're the exact same. It's just one was made in a lab versus mine.
Welcome back to another episode of Mean Girl Pod.
Today is interview day.
Yes.
I hope everyone had a happy Thanksgiving, first of all. And then today is interview day.
Yes. Oh my God, yeah. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. We're recording this pre-Thanksgiving, unfortunately, so I can't actually ask how your Thanksgiving was.
It was so great. I was so full.
So you guys, this episode is going to be a little different. When Alex was on maternity leave, we recorded this episode with Catherine Ebs. She's awesome and phenomenal. So that's the episode that's going to be playing today, because Alex was just a little go-getter and came back from maternity leave immediately.
But you loved this episode so much because you had already recorded it that you were like, let's put it out after Thanksgiving. And it was like, perfect.
Yeah, and Catherine's great. She, like I said last week, she was like born and raised in Florida. Sorry, she was born in Florida, raised in Minnesota, now lives in Texas. So she's a girl who just lives in all our favorite states. And then this episode is great because we talk about family drama, weddings, lab-grown diamonds, so many fun topics. So I think you guys will enjoy it. And then next week, Alex and I will be together in LA recording.
Yes, I'm so excited for LA. I can't wait. And also our merch that we're both wearing.
Third week in a row, I think.
On sale, you guys. Third week in a row. We're obsessed with it. This is like our coziest drop yet. So don't forget to buy it, you guys. You know where to find it. We've posted it everywhere. But go get your merch and get your sweatsuit.
And we love you guys and hope you enjoy our interview with Catherine. Welcome back to another episode of Mean Girl Pod. Today I have a very special guest, Catherine Ebs, a fellow Minnesotan.
Fellow Minnesotan.
I know, I love this. You're the first person, I guess, ever to be on the podcast from Minnesota, or even like the Midwest.
Yeah, I was there for a long time. I don't have the accent though, because originally from Florida, but.
Okay, I was gonna say you really got rid of yours if you did have it.
Never had it.
Okay, so born and raised
Florida.
And then what year did you move to Minnesota?
2015. And then I just moved out.
Where, can you say where you're
St.
from?
Paul. St. Paul.
God.
Yeah, my dad was born and raised Roseville, and I actually really wanted to live in a big city because I'm not a beach girl.
Yeah.
And my mom's whole family's from the beach, and so I wanted to move to a bigger city, but I just, one, didn't have the funds, and two, was a little intimidated, so tried out Minneapolis and was there for almost 10 years.
I love that. So I'm from Northfield, but my
Okay.
parents moved to St. Paul when I graduated college, and my ex-boyfriend that I dated like 5 years ago, his whole family's from St. Paul. So I like feel like that was my second home in Minnesota.
I love St. Paul.
It really
And then
is
if you're
nice.
from Minneapolis, St. Paul area, you choose one of the other cities, and I was always a diehard St. Paul girl.
Oh, same, I had to be.
Yeah.
I'd be like crucified if I said Minnesota, Minneapolis. They'd be like, we're disowning you. Sorry, you're done.
Gotta go. Yeah.
Okay, so quick before we get into all of the fun parts of the episode, we just have to quick talk about Monster, our presenting sponsor. So what flavor did I give you today?
I have the Ultra Strawberry Dreams.
Did you drink these when you were in Minnesota?
No, but my best friend is addicted to that one that you're holding. She just gave birth a month ago, and that was the only thing she asked for in delivery, like right after the baby came out.
Stop.
I swear, before she like started producing, she was like, okay, I need to get my sushi drink in.
She's like, my push present is going to be a 12-pack of Monsters.
Right. Amen.
I'm
and she got what
dead.
she wanted, so cheers.
Oh my God. Whoopsie, I just spilled. No, that's literally like a girl after my own heart. I'd be like, give me a 12-pack, please. That's all I need.
Right.
Caffeinate.
Right.
Okay, so the way we start off every episode is we talk about our roses and thorns for the week.
Okay.
So do you want to go first and share?
Don't get me started. I've been waiting for my moment. Okay, so I'm just going to start with my bad because I feel like everyone starts with the good and then ends with the bad.
Okay.
So I booked my mom and I blowouts.
Your mom's here.
My mom is here. My puppy just got spayed, and normally my husband travels with me, but I was like, I can't leave her with like a dog sitter. I just felt wrong doing that, so I made my mom come with me.
What is your dog's name?
We have Crew, Hadley, and Ebby.
Cute. And which one got spaded?
Crew.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so I booked us a blowout. So we went to Dry Bar this morning. Come to find out, everyone's like, don't go to Dry Bar. Well, I did, okay? They didn't tell me that I was with like a trainee, which is fine. I'm actually normally the girl that's like, absolutely, like I love to be with a trainee, but I didn't like how it like all went down. My hair looked like trash. I will literally send you the photo if you want it.
We'll put it up.
I was like, please be so for real right now. And then I found out that it was a trainee. And I was like, that just kind of annoyed me because I also paid full price. And then they were, yeah.
Wait, you didn't get a discount?
No.
Okay, that's very odd.
But I'm like, why wouldn't you have said that? And I posted on my Instagram stories and I was like, I don't mean to be bratty, especially because like, I'm not, like if I get bad food somewhere, I'll eat it and I don't care. But I was annoyed. And so I posted it. I have like hundreds of DMs saying like, no, Dry Bar sucks. And I'm like, that's sad. And so many people are like, I actually work for Dry Bar and we have to disclose if it's a trainee or not. And you're supposed to get a discount. Yeah. I was like,
because every place that you go to in New York, if you get a trainee, it's like a discount because we need discounts in New York City. But I've never been somewhere where they're like not willing to disclose that.
yeah.
Also, to be so nice, like you deserve to complain about what the back of your hair looked like. That was ridiculous.
It was bad. It was bad. She'll have to insert it.
I will. And your mom's looked so good.
She was with the trainer. Yes. My mom came in and I was like, dang, she ended quick. And then the trainer came at my very last curl and they were like, the trainer was like, no, you're curling the other way. It needs to go outward. Yeah, so all my curls are going inward. Anyways, it's fine. If that's my worst problem of the week, then I'm having a great week.
But you did it, you like, now it's from you and it looks fabulous.
Yeah, I had to
you did
fix
a really good
it.
job.
But I am just like, it does suck when you spend your own money on something. And also the whole point of me going there is to not have to worry and stress and do it myself.
Yeah.
But
I'm not really sure why Dry Bar New York City has a little bit of an issue. Like I've seen a lot of people on the internet have really bad experiences.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I don't either.
And I will clarify, everyone in my DMs was saying it's just New York.
Yeah.
Everywhere else is fine. So whatever. It is what it is.
Okay.
Pro of the week. My mom and I don't get to travel often, and I just love New York, so I'm really excited to be here with her and run around. I actually booked us an extra day just to run around.
Fun.
So yeah.
What is like the top of your guys' bucket list this week?
Literally nothing. Just have fun.
Okay.
But I like coming to New York with no plans because it's always so busy where I'm like, it just gets really booked and busy quick, and then you're just exhausted and you want to go home. So I kind of like leaving it a little bit more free to just do whatever, wherever the wind blows, and
I love that.
those are the fun ones.
Are you guys walkers?
Love.
Okay. So
Love.
the city is your oyster. Like you guys don't need plans.
Yeah. She was like, do I wear sandals or tennis shoes today? I was like, tennis shoes because we will be walking.
Yes. I know. When you asked me, like, what's the vibe of the podcast? I was like, dress cute. Because I was like, especially when you leave this, you're going to want to, like, walk around, get food and stuff.
Yeah.
And you're just going to want to be comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or no, did I say cute? Dress comfy.
I was like, cute and comfy is fine.
Sorry. I meant dress comfy. I have, like, period brain right now. Which is...
Sometimes that's as bad as pregnancy brain.
No, have you heard of period brain?
Mm-mm.
It's like... So I learned this in college from one of my friends, so it could totally be false. But one of my friends was like, do you know when you have your period, you shouldn't do like any public speaking or anything that you need to use your brain a lot of because it doesn't operate at like its full extent.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so like you stumble over your words, it's just a mess.
See, that's a daily occurrence for me without my ADHD meds. I'm always like,
No, literally. So I told her to dress comfy. But yeah, so my thorn of the week, I'll do my thorn first as well, is, so I don't know if this happens to you, but when you get your period, does it just like knock you out, or are you just
mine's the week before.
Okay.
Like I am a whole other person to the point I'm like, I feel like I have situational depression the week before my period.
Yes.
But yours is the week of.
So it depends on like which ovary it is. So no, did you know
Wait,
that?
what?
I also learned this. This is all from like my one friend, and I'm like, is any of this factual? I don't know, but apparently, like your period comes out of like a different ovary every month. So like your left side might be a worse period than your right side, which I didn't know that.
So they do say your left is always worse for anything you do because the brain's, it's the more sensitive side. So have you ever done like Botox or something or like lip
Yes.
filler? Your left side is always going to hurt more than your right. And I learned that from my injector, which makes sense. Like everything on my left always hurts more. I always actually ask to get my shots in my right arm. Everything I asked to do on my right side.
Okay.
Like IVs or anything. Yeah.
That's good to know because I always did my left just because they're like, don't hit your dominant arm.
Yeah.
But now I'm going to get injections and stuff
Yeah.
on my right.
But if you're less, which that's more for people who are like more tense, because then if they hit the muscle, which they're going through the muscle anyways, but if your muscle's tense, that's where it's more sore. But now that you know that, your right side will probably be a little bit more relaxed, which is fine.
Interesting.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
do it all the
so
time.
I'll have like 1 month where I won't even feel anything before my period. I'll be like, oh my God, life is great. I'll go to the bathroom. I'm like, it's here. And then the next month, I'm on my deathbed, like the week of.
Doesn't it feel like every celebrity has easy access to GLP-1s right now? But what about us, you guys? What about the people who don't have to be rich and famous in order to get access to these medications? Well, lucky for you, through Hers, you can get an affordable weight loss program personalized just for you. Weight loss solutions are not a one-size-fits-all, and everyone deserves to have a weight loss plan that is tailored to specifically their needs, because weight loss can be hard, and when it comes to prioritizing your health and feeling confident and strong, it can be difficult to know where to start. Hers is changing women's healthcare by providing you with access to affordable weight loss treatments. Their holistic programs gives you access to personalized solutions like GLP-1 weekly injections that have the same active ingredients as Ozempic and Wegovy and oral medication kits. Plus, your personalized treatment ships directly to your door. So if you've been struggling with your weight loss journey, it's time for you to find the best option that works for you. Start your free online visit today at forhers.com/mean. That's FORHERS.com/mean for your personalized weight loss treatment options. forhers.com/mean. For Hers, weight loss is not available everywhere. Compounded products are not FDA approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. Restrictions apply. Wegovy and Ozempic are not compounded.
Have you seen those TikToks of people explaining like all the phases of your period?
Yes.
I sent each one to my husband, and now he's like, he knows more about women's bodies than me, and he'll be like, it's fine. It's the week before your period.
Our
You're in
luteal
your
phase.
luteal phase. I'm like, go off, king.
I'm like, it's like crazy how your body changes so much from
Yeah.
those phases though.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, I just like,
Or the calorie intake or what workouts you're supposed to be doing. I was like, why did we not learn this in 5th grade?
literally,
Like, I wanted to know this back then.
literally. I'm like, even like the whole like different ovaries, which hopefully that is right. Cause people are going to like DM and they're like, you're very wrong.
You're an idiot.
literally. But I'm like, I think I'm right.
Just don't put it as a clip so you don't get nationally abused.
I'm
Just
90%
bullied.
sure it's accurate.
Okay. We'll have to Google that later.
Well, I know I have like a computer in front of me and I like refuse to
She's
look
like,
it
I'm
up.
90% sure.
Like, do the ovaries. And then my rose for the week is just sleeping back in my own bed. There's nothing better than after you travel for a while, just going back to your own bed and sleeping.
Yeah.
I don't know, do you sleep well when you travel or when you go to hotels?
I do, just because I sleep with all 3 girls back home and my
wow.
husband. Yes.
Please say you have a king bed.
We do.
Okay.
Yeah. So like I enjoy my first few nights in a hotel because I actually sleep all the way through. But then after that, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go back home.
Yeah.
But
Are your dogs snores?
no, my husband is. Speaking of, I went to go visit my best friend when she gave birth. I woke up to, and mind you, I went by myself. And I woke up to snoring and I was like, what grown man is in my bed? I look over, it's her big ass pit bull just snoring away. It literally sounded like a grown man. I was like, what is happening?
My parents have this tiny French bulldog, and you can hear him a mile away when he snores. And he likes to
always
like
the
lay
bulldogs.
right in your ear, and I'm just like, okay, this is fine. He has to be touching you when he sleeps.
Yeah.
So he either has to like be in between your legs or like on your side, and he'll just snore so loud in your ear, but you're like, you're so cute, so it's fine.
You're like, I'm
fine.
glad you're getting a good night's sleep.
I know.
Because you just left Florida, right?
I did, yeah. So you moved from Tampa to Minnesota to Dallas.
Yes. So I was in a small town right outside of Clearwater Beach. It's called Dunedin. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's bred from there.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I love it. I just wasn't a beach girl. I love the cities. And so I moved to Minneapolis, was there for a while, met my husband, and he's actually from Florida too. So that was like a weird little coincidence. But one of our first questions to each other is like, do you want to be in Minnesota long term? And both of us were like, no. And I was like, all right, sold. I'll sign the marriage certificate today.
That's a really important question to
Absolutely.
ask. Yeah.
Absolutely. Because some Minnesotans, they're like diehard, never leaving, love my family, raising my kids here, which I love. And like, that's every state. There's people who just ride or dies for their state. But my husband and I just weren't like that. And I don't know. I'm just not really, I don't love the cold. I don't mind it. And I do like season changes, but not to the point where it's like, in Texas, people are like, well, it's hot for multiple months. I'm like, yeah, but when it's hot, you can still drive. You can still go places. Your AC still works. Like in Minnesota, it gets so cold and so snowy, your car won't start. You can't drive on the roads. Your heat might go out. And that's months at a time too. So I'm like, at least if it's hot, I can still live life and not have to hunker down in my house.
Yeah. People don't understand how cold it can get.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember when it got to, I think it was like a -60 wind chill and like they actually
I
closed
talk about
down?
this every day. I swear I bring it up because people, every time they find out about Minnesota, I was like, yeah, my car didn't start for 3 days.
My heat went out in my apartment.
Did it really?
The maintenance people had to bring in actual space heaters for me.
Oh my gosh.
Like, people don't understand. Like, work was canceled
Yeah.
because they were like,
The
don't
city
go
shut
outside.
down. Yeah. I'm like, okay, so at that time, I was actually in accounting for a plumbing and heating company.
Oh my God.
And that went nuts because everyone's like, pipes froze. So then their pipes froze and burst in their walls. So they had people like plumbers coming out for that. Then they had heat people coming out for like their boilers. That's like the months to make money in Minnesota. They don't care about the AC season. They care about heat season.
Literally.
I'm like, sad.
I know. And at least in Dallas too, everything is properly air conditioned. We're like in New York, you'll walk in somewhere and you're like, it's 90 degrees outside, but you don't have your AC running. Like when you're in Florida or Texas, you go into any building and you're like, this feels so good.
Yeah.
It's so nice.
I'm almost like, it's too cold. I'm like, turn it down. It works, okay? It works. Turn it off.
Was there a certain reason you guys picked Dallas?
You know when you discover a new binge-worthy show or a song that you can bump on repeat and you have to share it with your friends so they can experience just how awesome it is? That's kind of what it feels like when you discover that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan. It's such an awesome deal. There's no way you can keep it to yourself, and it feels too good to be true, you guys. But it's not. Friends don't let friends overpay for wireless. Say bye-bye to your overpriced wireless plan and switch to Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you and your squad with premium wireless plans starting at $15 a month. To get this new custom offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/mean. That's mintmobile.com/mean. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/mean. $45 upfront payment required. That's equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speeds above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
Taxes were like the biggest reason we wanted to move. Just doing what I do. I was taxed pretty heavily in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Which love that for the state of Minnesota. Like the people that need help get a lot of assistance there, but it was a lot. And so we were looking at like, I think there's 5 or 6 states and we were looking at all those and Texas just seemed to be the best. Florida was an option, but we didn't want to go back. We were like, we've already done that. So, and another thing is we really wanted to be away from family. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but both of us were like, and now our family's following us. So I'm like, come on down.
Wait, can we talk about that?
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's a pretty large part of your social media journey is you really opening up about some of the struggles you've had with your family.
Yeah.
And like that's why I think a lot of people really relate to you and like love following you because you're so open and honest about it. So like why did you want to be away from family?
Like when obviously you probably don't have, when something goes wrong, your family calls you, you're like the first call because I was the daughter and the sister and the cousin that when something would go wrong, I would always answer and I would always show up to help. But it was getting exhausting being a wife and also still having to come home and like be a wife, and then he didn't have any family in Minnesota. He moved to Minnesota for football, so he was the only person out there. And I felt so guilty almost every single week. I was bringing something into our house, and he wasn't. But he was having to deal with, like, my family and what was being brought in. And that's hard, especially when you're, like, freshly married. You're like, this is supposed to be the best times of my life, and I'm sitting here just, like, drama-filled. And on social media, you're bullied all day long, and then your family bullies you. I'm like, okay, this is not how this is supposed to be. So
yeah,
that was a big reason why we wanted to move. And then another reason is, again, he's not where, like, he hasn't lived by his family. All his family's in Florida, and a couple are in California. And I was like, well, if we're moving somewhere, I would feel guilty moving somewhere where he had family and then someone else was jealous, and I don't know. So it was another piece of it. So
Yeah. When you were in Minnesota, did you find it easy to set boundaries with your family, or was like moving the only option?
after my dad died, that was like the hardest part for me, is because boundaries, that side of my family is very like entitled. So a boundary to them isn't like, oh, she's doing something that's like good for her and her now family, because my husband's my core family now. They were more like, oh, look at Catherine thinking that she can set a boundary. And like still to this day, I'm still having problems, from back home, of just like when they lack control, they'll try to come from any angle that they can. And it's hard. It's hard.
I think it's really important to relay the message that blood doesn't need to be your core family. It can be your husband, your best friend, because I think a lot of people, especially coming from the Midwest, think that they have to stick with their family that's blood, and then it ends up being toxic because they don't really want to stick with that family. Where I've noticed, like being in New York, a lot of people's family is their closest friends, their partner, and they've left their blood family because it just was so toxic.
Yeah. Well, as a kid, looking at your parents, that's your family, right? Well, they had to become family at some point, which was their marriage. So now I'm looking at it as like, one day we're going to have children and we're their family. My husband is my only, like, he's my closest relative now. But a lot of people think that it's just because you're bonded by paper versus blood. And I'm like, no, that's the whole point in a marriage. It's like, that is your core family. Your now parents are your secondary family. And it's the same, like when you talk about your parents, like that's your family. Well, how did they get there? It was a certificate. So I don't know. It's hard because you are raised like that, and like family sticks together, and you do that, and like it doesn't matter. It's family. But I'm like, there's no reason that my friend should have my back more than my family does. You know, I don't know. It's very odd. And I also come from a blended family, so that was actually a really other huge piece of it. It wasn't even necessarily my blood. It was the stepmom who was very upset with how things were going, and like she's trying to pin like siblings against each other, and it's just like, that's so weird. That's
really hard. Especially, I can't imagine what it was like once your dad passed, and then having to deal with that, because you're like, you were brought into this family because of my dad. And if it wasn't, like, do you have a relationship with your stepmom at all?
No. And I did for a very long time. I always said, because my dad and my stepmom got together when I was like not even old enough to remember their wedding.
Wow.
Like that's like, she's been around. Their storyline, they actually met children, and they dated in high school, college. She wanted to get married, he didn't. He moved to Florida, met my mom. When they divorced, because he met my mom, had 2 children with my mom, came back to Minnesota, got with my stepmom. So I say all the time, it's not like we showed up when we were 10, 15 years old and say, hey, you're my daddy. Like, you literally knew there was other children involved. And things have been said along the lines of, because they had the relationship first, and then he got, quote unquote, another woman knocked up, she has literally said that you are supposed to be mine. So she has like a weird mindset around, like, I don't know. It's odd. But I have 2 younger brothers through them, so they're halves, and was always very, very close with them. One of actually just moved to Dallas to follow me. Yes. But that was like, when he called me and told me that, I had like a low-key panic attack, because I'm like, she's going to think that I'm doing this in spite of her, and I'm like convincing you to move here. But you shouldn't feel like that. Like, my brother has never been, like, my little brothers have never been half brothers. Those are my younger brothers. Like, it just is what it is. But I shouldn't be terrified that my brother is moving close because my stepmom's going to find something to harass me with or something. I don't know.
She should be happy that your brother wants to be close to you.
Absolutely. Or that has someone in a new city that he can rely on and reach out to. And I don't know, as a mom, you would just, I don't have kids, but I would hope, even if I had my own blood child and there was a stepchild involved, I would just be happy that there was a relationship there.
Yeah.
I just think it's hard because I'll never understand. And that's always where I'm just like, if I can't compute it in my own brain, I'm like, I almost glitch, because I'm like, someone has to like put this on paper, because I need to understand.
Yeah.
But I don't think I ever will.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. We all carry around different stressors, both big and small. When we keep them bottled up, it can start to affect us negatively. And you know what the good news is, you guys? Therapy is a safe place to get these things off your chest and figure out how to work through whatever is weighing you down. You guys know, since the inception of Mean Girl Pod, Jordyn and I have been massive proponents of therapy. We think there is no greater gift you can give yourself, because you never know what life's going to throw at you. And when you go to therapy, you can really untangle. Like I always think about our souls or our inside. It's like your heart can get so tangled up, but with therapy, you can truly untangle it. And the best part about BetterHelp, if you're thinking about starting therapy, you should give BetterHelp a try because it's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Get everything off your chest with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/meangirl today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/meangirl. It's cozy season, which is why we will not stop talking to you guys about Cozy Earth. Specifically today, we're always talking to you about the temperature regulated sheets, but today, you guys, we're talking about the cuddle blanket because it's cuddle season. It's time to light the fire, and it is time to put that cuddle blanket over you. And when you're doing that, guess what you're wearing? Women's bamboo pajama set or the men's pajamas, because Cozy Earth, they make the comfiest pajamas. And you guys, they make them in tall. So tall girls like Jordyn and I, there's an option on the website. You just click tall, and when I wear my house shoes, like they are touching the ground, and I absolutely love it. So Cozy Earth's goal is to help you create a sanctuary within your home, a refuge from the demands of the outside world. They understand the significance of finding comfort and tranquility in these hectic lives. So give the gift of Cozy Earth. Wrap your loved ones in luxury with Cozy Earth. Visit CozyEarth.com/mean and use our code for exclusive 40% off. That's code MEAN, MEAN, to give the gift of luxury this holiday season. That's CozyEarth.com/mean. If you get a post-purchase survey, say you heard about Cozy Earth from the Mean Girl podcast.
But have you noticed that being in a different state than some of your other family members that things have gotten better, or just?
Yes, 100%. And I feel very peaceful in Texas. A lot of followers have even noticed that too. They're like, you look just so different here.
You look so bright and glowy. Like I've even noticed that. I'm like, you always look so happy, and like you just have like this glow on your face.
It's crazy like what your situation can do to you. And I wouldn't even say that I lived a bad life in Minnesota. I still lived a great life, still lived the same life. It's just how different your surroundings could be. And it actually, so I was with that same little brother at Costco a couple of months before we officially decided to move. And I remember coming around the corner with my little brother, and I saw a woman who almost identical was to my stepmom. And I literally full on, my heart was pounding. I got really hot because I knew my little brother was right behind me. And I was scared of what her reaction was going to be seeing us together. And it wasn't even her. But I was like, I didn't realize the anxiety that I was living in just running into her. And also like the fact that I was scared to be, I felt like a little girl who was like running around town with a boy, and you're not, and you said you were at your friend's house, you know, like the anxiety, and I'm just like, well, I don't know.
I think it can be really powerful to move away from your family. I didn't have like a horrible relationship with my mom and dad by any means, but we went through like a little bit of a rocky period pre-COVID, and moving to New York has like made our relationship so much stronger. Like I grew up, they were my everything, and then we kind of had like a little bit of a distance. In Minnesota, I moved to New York, and now I'm just as close to them as I was before, and I attribute that all to being so far from them. And now I think I'm ready and in a place where I can move near them again. But I just needed that from like my own mental health, being away from some of like the toxic habits that my dad might do, and it just like it can be so healthy and beneficial to not be near your family.
Yeah, we're also so individual, and it's hard because even like your siblings you could be so different from, your parents you could be so different, but family is almost like it is a forced relationship, but like that's like staying with a boy, you know, for no reason. But that distance it makes you not force your relationship. It makes you want to choose it. And if you choose it, it's so much easier and better. And then you can also go home. And you're like, okay, I don't rely on you anymore. But yeah, I encourage everyone to leave. And what's the worst thing that happened? You hate it and you move back? Okay.
Move back.
Yeah.
I know it's crazy too, because I feel like our generation is in the generation of, I don't know if you go to therapy, but like where we go and we learn all these things about why we are the way we are due to our parents. And then you see our parents struggle with things, and you're like, if you would go to therapy, you would know why.
Yes, I'm like, go to therapy. I will pay for your therapy.
I was in therapy today, and I was like, I wish my dad would go to therapy so badly.
Or I like dig into them. I was like, what happened in your life? You're going to sit here and tell me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, everything would be more beautiful.
I like it because I see them more as people now versus my parents.
Yes.
And that's just in general where I'm like, what happened to you? Anything bad? When people treat me poorly, I'm like, okay, I didn't do anything. So like, what happened to you? And I don't know, it's just kind of like, it's kind of cool. Or like, oh, I have the upper hand. Like, I know something happened to you, but like, what's going to happen? Like, when are you going to tell me?
I could not agree more. I think therapy has given me so much more grace towards like my brother, my mom, and my dad, and just people in general. Because I'm like, okay, you're not doing this because of me. You're doing this because something happened to you.
Yeah.
And seeing them as people versus your parents is so powerful. It actually makes you a little emotional because you're like, wait, you're going through life the exact same time as I am and experiencing things for the first time ever like I am.
Yeah.
And
like today's their first today.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Or like when you're in New York with your mom, you're like, oh my God, you're experiencing this day in New York City the exact same time as me.
Yeah.
Like for
Isn't it weird?
It's so weird.
It's almost like a high thought, but you're like, I'm not.
Because growing up, you think that your parents have just like experienced everything under the sun. And then you get older and you're like, wait a second, you're a person.
Well, I also come from the mother who says I know it all and don't ask me questions. So I'm like, okay, you're a liar. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's wild, but I'm so grateful for therapy.
So grateful for
So grateful for my therapist. Thank you.
Thanks, Molly.
So going back to, you mentioned your husband a few times.
Yeah.
His name is Raphael, right?
Yes.
How did you guys meet?
So
He seems like a sweetheart. I love his content.
I loved him. It's so crazy because you meet people online. Like, I've met a couple people online. I'm like, you're not the same. But everyone that meets Raphael in person is like, holy shit. Like, you really are actually that kind of guy. So we met in Minnesota. I was working at Wells Fargo, and he had come in, and he has like a full sleeve of Florida, and he had 407 on him. And I was like, 407? And I was like, not Orlando, like, whatever. And he was like, how do you know Orlando? And I was like, I'm from Tampa. We got each other Snapchats. This is in...
I love the Snapchat.
That was in the era of like, you give out Snapchats versus your phone number, which I'm grateful that I did. What year was that? 2017, 2016? I don't know, a long time ago. And then we just like remained Snapchat friends. I had an ex-boyfriend that I got back with after meeting Raphael. And I was like with him for years. Raphael and I just kept bumping into each other everywhere we would go. And then
It's like the invisible string theory.
I walked down to invisible string for the aisle. Yeah. Because I was like, I just love it. It was so weird. So, okay, so I didn't know anything of what he did. I literally only knew his Snapchat name and back in the day, he only went by his last name because he was a football player. So that's very common in the football world. So I didn't even know his name was Raphael. Like, I knew nothing about him. And we would just bump into each other all the time. He would pick up bouncing gigs at like local bars. So I moved out to the suburbs. Do you know Maplewood?
Yeah.
I moved out to Maplewood, very random little town. And he was bouncing at a bar there, and I ran into him, and I was like, what are you doing here? He's like, what are you doing here? Then I moved downtown, and I looked out my front window. I was right off Mears Park in downtown St. Paul.
Oh, yeah, my parents used to live over there.
I love it. Cosmo? I was at the Cosmo.
Oh, they lived like a little bit behind, closer to the highway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And those like little... Okay, I know what you're talking about.
It's time to give the gift of Skims, because if you're like Jordyn and I, maybe you haven't started shopping yet. And if not, we've got you covered, because Skims has something for everybody in your family. Whether you want to give the gift of neutrals and basics that will last long and look good with everything, or if you want to go to the holiday shop and get pajamas for the whole family, including the pets. That's right. They've got mom and dad covered. They've got all the kids covered, and they even have your pets covered. So whatever your favorite holiday tradition is, you guys, think about doing it in Skims. Think about being inside by the cozy fire, by the Christmas tree, by the menorah, whatever it is, and doing it in your Skims pajamas. So if you guys want to shop Skims holiday, go to skims.com. Available in styles for women, men, kids, and even pets. If you haven't yet, be sure to let them know that we sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. That's skims.com for the holiday shop, and give the gift of Skims this holiday season.
Anyways, so I saw his car, and weirdly, I like memorized, because I'm a numbers girly, so I memorized his license plate, and I was like, why? He was literally parked right outside my apartment building. So I messaged him on Snapchat. I was like, what are you doing down here? And he was like, oh, I live down here. We ended up being only like 2 or 3 blocks from each other. 2020 came around. It was January. I had gotten jury duty, and I had posted on Snapchat that I was at jury duty. He messaged me on Snapchat and was like, what judge do I need to talk to? Mind you, all I knew about him is that he bounced every once in a while. Like, I knew nothing about him. I was like, what do you mean, what judge do you need to talk to? I was like, I'm here for jury duty. We ended up going out a couple days later and have been together ever since. We got engaged in 2021, married in 22, and living our life.
But I'm dead that you knew that of his license plate.
Yeah. I still have it memorized.
Did you say that you saw his license plate, or were you just like, I see your car?
Yeah. But he knew more about me than I knew about him. And like now knowing who he is and like what his profession is, I understand why he was so guarded and very, he just works for government level stuff, and he just never really talked about it. And like we have even safety plans in place in case like things happen and stuff along those lines. But back then I was just like, yeah, I memorize your license. I've always been me though. Like I don't care.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm always like, I don't care. Sure, I stalk you. I don't care if that's what you think.
Were you on social media when you guys got together?
Yes. So I had just, when we fully started dating, I had just lost my job. And then because like COVID had just started. And so that was another really big piece in our relationship is as soon as we started dating, we were locked down. Like we just basically were together 24/7. And as you know, the George Floyd murder happened. And so that was at the time of like, not only were you on lockdown from COVID, you also had were you in Minnesota at the time?
Yeah, I was in St. Louis Park.
Okay, we had curfews and all that stuff. It was just wild. So we hunkered down in his apartment, and we just really, at those times, it either like made or broke people. And it was just one of those moments where we really just learned how to be each other's friends without anything other than just like each other. And okay, so I had started TikTok at that time just for like shits and gigs, you know, nothing else going on in life. But I also knew his profession. So I was like, I hid TikTok from him for a very long time. Oh, I can't believe he married me some days.
Wait, when you guys were like living together too?
We hadn't technically like, we weren't in the same, like we were always together, yes, but no, we weren't on the same lease at this point. But no, yeah, I was like on TikTok. I had like 75,000 followers at the time. And no, I lied, 60, because that was the day my uncle was like, congrats on 60,000 followers. And I was like, oh shit. I literally was like, uh-oh. And right away, Raphael was like, on what? Because he followed me on Instagram. And I was like, hee. So I came clean. And then, yeah, it's just, he's just had been open about it. It was very interesting. He actually wanted to go at that time. Another reason that I was kind of keeping it hush-hush is because we had just started dating. I didn't know if it was serious, and I love social media, but he also wanted to go federal. So he was actually interviewing for the FBI, got into the FBI, and they were like, pretty much in the FBI, you're like owned by them for quite some time. I think it's about 5 years where they send you to a random state. You basically can't be in a state where you know anybody just because they want you to basically be very unbiased.
Could you go with him?
I could have, but I would have to give up all my social medias. Yes. So that was also another reason where I was like, okay, if he's doing this, then I really do need to figure this out. But ended up, we talked, and he was just like, they tell you not to have children. They like younger single guys at that level because there's so many restrictions. So it was a very interesting time in life. But yes, I was on social media. I had just started.
Wait, that's crazy.
Yeah. I'm just spewing it all to you. I should have taken my little ADHD meds. I'm like, here's my life.
I'm so glad that, like, that's just, I can't imagine him realizing that, like, thank God a friend didn't just send, like, a video of you to him.
I don't know what I would have done. And what's funny is that was my first TikTok account that actually got banned. Still to this day, I have no idea why. Like, I never got never told anything. I don't know. So this is now my second page, but he's the most supportive of it and everything. And he's always like, when people are like, oh my God, you're so mean to him, I'm like, 9 times out of 10, he was like, redo that. It wasn't mean enough. Like, people aren't going to think that's funny. I was like, whatever.
Also, you're husband and wife. You're not mean to him. It's like couple banter.
Yeah.
I've never once been like, Catherine's being mean to him. It's so funny.
A lot of people, there's people who will like go find his Instagram and DM him and be like, you need to divorce her, bro.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, people think that like Pete's being held against his own will. Like,
please don't call Paw Patrol. He is fine. I feed him on the weekdays.
I'm like, he's fine. And also, like, people need to remember things are heightened on social media. We are trying to entertain people. And you think that they don't have permission. Like, I have to ask Pete if it's okay for him to be in a video.
Same, still.
Yeah.
I still to this day, I'm like, are you okay being in this? Now it's gotten a little bit more like, just shut up. Go brush your hair. We're doing this.
But like 9 out of 10 times, if you see a video with Pete and I, it's Pete's idea. He's like, let's make a TikTok tonight. I'm like, thank you.
Yes.
People think I have you like handcuffed under the table, and I'm like, if you don't do this, you're staying in your room tonight.
I tell everybody, I'm like, you guys remember, I will post a photo. He got on his knee. I know it's crazy.
Right?
I know it's crazy.
I know. People are actually insane, and it's like, you know, it's okay to have a healthy,
Yeah.
happy relationship and for your partner to support you being on social media.
Yeah. I also think too, it's like every relationship is so different. And exactly what you said, as creators, we're not like a skit-based couple.
Yeah.
But there are times where I'll like go to tell a story and he did something dumb, so I'm going to tell the story and I'll glitch or I'll stutter, and so I'll redo it and he'll be like, hey, add like a little bit more emphasis on that line, because it's like that really did happen. And 9 out of 10 of my videos are supposed to be relatable videos. Like one is like falsified and it's just to be like funny or something, but I'm just like I posted it anyways. But I'm just like, he gets it, and he also watches my stuff, so he knows what does well. He knows what people relate to, and people are always 9 times out of 10, everyone's in the comments like hyping me up, and they're like, Rafi, get it together. Get it together. There's always that one though.
Oh yeah, I know Pete's always like giving me input, and I'll be like, hey, does this text look good? Is this funny? Or like, what should I say for this? People just don't get it.
Yeah.
They're crazy.
Try also having the interracial battle too.
Yeah. How has that been?
It's hard online. Like for him and I, we've never batted an eye. We've never had problems in our family or our friends or anything along those lines. But online, you just have to be a little bit more conscientious, because a joke to a million people, there's always that one that's going to like tear you apart. And so those are like the ones, like, have you the one right now that's like, we in the club, we all fam.
Yeah.
That one's like, it's a hit or miss, because it's like on my page it might not be as funny as if it's on someone else's page. So stuff along those lines, we'll have to just be like, hey, let's just like think that one fully through.
Yeah.
And he's normally okay with anything and everything, but just even having like that little comment at the end, like, are you racist? Like, anyone could take that a totally different way. And there's a whole Reddit thread about how I'm the most racist person ever, and yeah, it's just crazy. And I'm just like, all because of one trend. That's actually what started it all. The whole racist thing is in 2020 or 2021-ish. Do you remember the trend is like, this is my boyfriend, I got him at Target, he comes with his own like backpack.
Yes.
So I did that for Raphael, didn't think anything out of it, and at the time it was still just kind of starting out. And I was like, this is my boyfriend, and he's 7 years older than me. So I said I got him on clearance because he's seasoned.
Yeah.
Because the meaning behind seasoned is like older, like a seasoned chicken, like it's ready to go.
Yeah.
Well, I'm racist because seasoned is because he was black and he was on clearance and I was showing him like a slave, and I was like, wait, what? And I had said like, he comes with his own coloring book because of his tattoos, but people took that as because he was black, and I was like, wait, where did this just go left? I ended up deleting the video, but yeah, if you Google my name, it's still out there on like a big like a, what is it called? Not a magazine, but it basically like a digital magazine picked it up, and there was a couple of us girls that just got ripped to shreds, and it was just like,
that's insane too, because I would imagine that Raphael knew what you were posting and was like,
he was standing there for it. Literally stood there like, doo-doo-doo.
And he probably reviewed it and was like, no, I'm okay with this.
Because we just never once even thought. And then when people were saying that, I was like, okay, I could see how this could look bad. Like, I took it down. But that was like the one really big thing where I was like, I swallowed that, where I was like, okay, I could see how that was being perceived, and I apologize, but that's never once been a thing. But now it's always like, that's still a thing. Or Raphael's had to respond to comments too of like, people will be like, why'd you marry a black man? Like on my stuff. I'm like, this is so weird.
People are disgusting.
It's so weird. I'm like, it's 2024. Are we gonna ever wake up?
Literally.
It's weird.
At least it makes you guys a stronger couple.
Yeah.
And I feel like you guys have been through it all, where it's like nothing can break you.
Mm-hmm.
Which I love.
And we just like in general, my mom's kind of raised me as we're all human too. That's where human too even came from.
Yeah.
And obviously we've all got differences, but Raphael and I never even like see. I think the only thing is like when something happens in his family versus my family, or like the way I talk to my mom, like I call my mom by her name, or like my dad, I always called him by his name. I'd be like, Bill, come here.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I don't know why. It's just our family's culture, but like he's had to explain like, you can't do that like with my family. Like they're just not, it's just not the culture. So I think that's been like the hardest, quote unquote, but I think that's any family, not necessarily just interracial, but
yeah.
That's really been the only thing. Other than that, we just see each other as, that's my husband.
Yeah.
He's just a big fella.
Wait, I forgot, how long have you been together?
Almost 5 years.
Okay. And you got married in Minneapolis?
Yeah.
Where'd you guys get married?
Do you know Dinkytown?
Yes.
There's like an industrial district back there that we got married in.
Pretty.
Yeah.
I love that. I just love that, like everything that you're saying. I'm like, I actually know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And I'm literally so obsessed with your ring.
Thank you.
Can I see it
designed
again?
her myself.
I know. I remember one of your videos that came up. So I'm like, my boyfriend and I are in the process of engagement rings, and
Do you know where it's going?
I don't know where, but he wants to do. I want to do lab grown.
Okay,
And
I saw this topic.
Yes.
Mine's a lab. Here, sorry, it took me a minute
so
to get it off.
you are one of the creators that inspired me to look into lab grown.
Honored, as you should.
Like, this is literally my
She's
dream
a little
ring.
gal.
Pete, if you're watching, this is
Peter,
this is
Pete.
this is the exact ring. I'm not kidding you.
Okay, so I got it through Chroma Collective. So my brother-in-law is a jeweler.
Okay.
I highly recommend. He's like one of the best price points on the market. I'm not just saying that because he's my brother-in-law, but so I also custom did it. So it's got a W holding up the diamond for our last name.
Oh, I love that. Are you legally Washington?
Legally, yes.
Okay.
Yep. And ultimately, so like Ebs actually isn't my last name. I have like it's a portion of my last name, but because of the drama, one, I've always just been Catherine Ebs on Instagram ever since middle school when Instagram came out. But just like the drama, I just wanted to give my family that privacy. But yeah, for a while, like my brothers were our full legal last name online, and I was like, hey, can you guys like change it because people can find you quickly? But no, legally it's Washington. Anyways, I'm a huge advocate for lab because Eli, my brother-in-law, he was the one that taught me everything. He was like, an IVF baby is still it's still a real baby.
Yes.
It's just where it is made, and ethically, depending on where you get your diamonds, and not only that, but they're literally the exact same. Is it called composition? I don't know. Like they're the exact same. It's just one was made in a lab versus mine. But the price point, I'm like, that's what gets me. I cannot believe this ring, if it were real, would have been estimated about $120,000. Isn't that insane?
So that's something that like broke my brain. So I saw your video when you posted it, which was a while back.
Yeah.
And that was when I was like really starting to think about like getting engaged. And I remember before your video, I never considered lab grown. Like, I'm not kidding you. You really persuaded me on changing. And then I talked to my best friend about it, who's also from Minnesota. And she was like, yes, this is what I'm talking about. Like, lab grown's the way to go. Because I didn't understand the price difference between the two.
It's crazy.
Like,
it's crazy.
I went into Brilliant Earth with Pete to look at rings, and we aren't going to go with Brilliant Earth because they're price
You still
points.
want to try them on, yeah.
Yeah, but we wanted to try them on and learn about them, and she was telling us the price points between the carats, and my mind was truly blown. It was, like $10,000 versus $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, because I'm like, I want a big ring.
Yeah.
But I don't want to break the bank.
Yeah. No. I'll send you his link. And I'm like, I say it to anybody and everyone though. Listen, no one has ever come up to me and was like, is that a real diamond?
Right.
And I would be like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, did you really buy it? Like, and not only that, with lab, you get to pick more, like your cut and your clarity is cleaner sometimes for the price point that you're also getting it at. So I'm a huge, huge, huge advocate.
I also didn't realize why, because like I was looking at like oval, square, and radiant, and I was so confused why like 3 carat radiant was the same cost of maybe like a 1 or 2 carat square. So I like was educated on that. It's because like the width at the bottom is so much heavier. Yeah. So that really helped me decide like, oh, I definitely want a radiant because you can get a bigger carat at the same price as like maybe a square or a round or something.
Absolutely.
Which like was really interesting.
I will say the one thing I wish, now I'm like giving lessons here. The one thing I wish, so like you can tell my carat weight is a lot underneath. Like a lot of it sits underneath. One downside to that, I catch on everything.
Oh my God.
So I could have gotten a smaller carat weight that sat less depth but longer, and it would have looked the same, but it would have sat a little lower and it would have actually almost looked bigger.
Okay.
So like instead of getting carat weight under here, I could have gotten less depth and gone longer. So it would have looked like a bigger ring and I wouldn't catch on everything.
I do like how yours is risen though.
I love it too.
Yeah.
But you'll just have to get used to like just it's a major first world problem, but you'll just have to get used to like tucking your pockets in or like it'll catch on stuff. I've gotten used to it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I love it. She's beautiful. She's beautiful.
And I love that you designed your stack too.
Yes. I don't know. I was a Pinterest girly in probably like 8th grade, and I was like, yeah, I want a stack. 100%.
Oh, yeah.
And I do advise, I say this all the time too, if you are a stack girly, get cheap rings.
Yeah.
Like get some on Amazon. Like pick out your stack. For the first while, I had a Canal Street Cartier because I wanted the look of a cigar band, but I didn't want to buy a cigar band. So I just got one for like $25 on Canal Street and wore that for a while. And I was like, okay, yeah, I do love the cigar band. So then I upgraded my stack a little bit. But yeah, I love it.
I really love like your thought process with that, because I just like don't understand people who shame people who have lab grown or even like moistenites. It's like, just let people have whatever they want on their fingers.
Who cares?
Like this girl, a girl I follow was talking about her travel diamond that she got from Amazon, and she's like, I actually like it more than my engagement ring.
People say that all the time. They're like, I kept it. I'm like, good for you.
She's like, I wear it like 4 times a week. And I'm like, good for you. It's like whatever's on your finger only is between you and your husband.
Yeah.
And I just hate when people are like, that's not a real diamond. Okay, well, it's like, it actually is.
Yeah.
It's
or
just
even
that mind.
Like the size. I've had girlfriends where like they'll see someone else. Like I feel like the trend now, not even necessarily the trend, but again, like you said, you can get more ring for less money now. So why would people not, for the same price, get a bigger ring? But I feel like there's so many women out there with like smaller carat weights or like daintier rings that are feeling like in comparison and like, I need a bigger ring. And it's like, no, that it's not about that. Everyone's got different tastes. We've got different everything. So it's like, if you like your ring, keep your ring.
Yeah.
If you want to upgrade it, get a lab diamond.
Right?
Like, I don't know.
Did you, I think you mentioned that you designed it, but like, did you and Raphael design it together? Like, did you know what you were getting?
Yes.
Okay.
So my first question to him when we were like talking engagement, because he was like, I need to make sure that you're not going to say no. And I was like, well, I'm not saying no. But I was like, do we have an heirloom that I need to be considerate of? Or do you have something in mind that you want? And he said no to both. And I was like, okay, well, since it is something that I have to wear every single day for the rest of my life and it's a heftier price point, am I able to pick it? And he was like, absolutely. And I feel like going in that way versus being like, no, I wanted, like, I don't trust your taste or I wanted to pick it or whatever, like it gave the man a little bit more security of like, she's just asking because she cares. And I'm like, hee.
No, literally, Pete and I talked about this on an episode of Mean Girl that just came out, and people were like, what do you mean you're letting her have a say on what ring you get her? That's crazy. And granted, a lot of these comments were from men.
Yeah.
But I'm like, Pete and I had this conversation because he was like, I want you to love what's on your finger, and I want to be able to show it off and know that you love it.
Yeah.
The last thing I want is to get you something and then you hate it, where all these men are like, if you're buying it, only you should have say. It's like, what?
That's like letting your wife go out and just buy your next house.
Yeah.
You have to live there for the next 20 years and you don't get a say.
Like, that's
just
wild.
You just got to trust her. And it's like, yeah, you would hope that your partner would know you enough to pick something that you like, but that's just not necessarily the case for everybody.
Yeah, like you want to be so proud of it, but I feel like you can be more proud of it if you know your wife or your future wife is going to absolutely love what's on her finger.
Yeah. I'm the first person to be like, I did a great job.
You did do a great job.
People are
I
like,
love
he
your
did
ring.
so good. I was like, no, I did so good.
You're like, no, I designed the whole thing actually.
Thank you.
You didn't know when the engagement was going to happen though, right?
No,
Okay.
that completely threw me off. So my mom was living in all of our parents live in different states. His mom's in California. My mom was in Wisconsin. My dad and us were in Minnesota. His dad's in Orlando. So I was like, he had asked me to go for lunch at the first place that he told me he loved me. And right away I was like, okay, today's today. And which, mind you, I had known he had the ring. That was the thing that threw me off, is I was like, okay, I know it's coming. He asked me to go to lunch that day.
But you knew or you did not know he had the ring?
I knew he had the ring.
Okay.
And so when he asked me to go to that place for lunch, it's called Holman's Table. It's on the St. Paul Airstrip in St. Paul.
I have been there.
Yeah.
Yes, I went there with my parents.
So he had...
Beautiful place.
Yeah, literally. Love it. That was the first place he told me he loved me. And so I was like, okay, gig's up. It's today. But then my dad was like, can I go to lunch with you? Like, with you guys. And I was like, oh, okay, today's not the day, because there's no way he would propose to me in front of my dad and stepmom, but not our moms at minimum. So then we get to the restaurant, and his mom and sister and my mom walk in while he was in the bathroom. I was like, you idiot. Like, this gave it away. But it was supposed to be, it was during the Canadian wildfires.
Okay.
So a helicopter was supposed to like drive it down or fly it down and like be out on the runway. But we ended up sitting inside because of the fires, and they weren't able to like deliver it. So he had it in a gum wrapper in his pocket.
Shut up.
I swear to God.
That ring was in a gum wrapper?
Yes. And still to this day, I never said yes. He like got down on one knee. Mind you, were my 2 rules that I had to have for an engagement, which women, if you're listening, give it up. Just do whatever. I said not in a restaurant. That was my first rule, and have a photographer. Neither of which happened. And I'm like sitting here in the corner, like everyone in the restaurant staring at us. And I said, can you please get up? Because he was on his knee. And then I was like, And then he started to like hug me and he like grabbed my face. I said, please stop touching me. And then his mom was like, so did you say yes? I went like this and I sat back down in my seat. I was so uncomfortable because you know yourself. And you're like, that public was so uncomfortable. I was like, no, absolutely not. And then I made him go out on the runway to like stage an Instapic. So if you see the Instapic, that's fake.
No, I feel that 100%. I told Pete, I was like, we got to be alone because I will feel sick to my stomach. And I probably would do the same thing where I'd be like, it'd be rushed. I'd be like, just get it over with because I'm
anxiety.
Social anxiety too much.
Yeah, it took over right away. I actually still to this day, for a very long time, I was actually very upset about it because I'm like, that's such bullshit. Like, that was my one engagement because I'm not planning on doing this again. So I'm like, that is so bogus. And then we actually like kind of had a spat over like when our wedding took place. He wanted to wait longer just because money, it's very expensive. And it happened to be that Memorial Day weekend was the time that like a lot of his nieces and nephews could travel because school had just gotten out. So we ended up getting married then, and thank God we did because my dad passed just a few months later, and I'm the only girl. So I was like, okay, I used to have so much anger around, actual anger. Like, I was annoyed. I was very frustrated. And now I'm like, God knew. My dad got to watch his only daughter get engaged and married. So I'm like, it is what it is. So I just tell people all the time, just who cares? Who cares at the end of the day? Have the wedding that you want. Don't plan a wedding for your mom. Don't plan a wedding for your Aunt Susie. Like, don't plan an engagement for everyone else. Do it for yourselves. And that's the best advice that I can give.
Yeah, I have been learning that. I don't have a lot of friends that have been married, but I'm going to get to the point where they're going to be getting engaged and married soon. And that's something that I'm learning with the few weddings is like I've seen people do weddings for other people and they're miserable. And then I've seen the few that have done weddings just for themselves and they maybe have a little bit of an angrier family, but they are so freaking happy at the end of the day. Yeah. So it's like even for me one day, it's like my wedding is going to be exactly what Pete and I want and I don't care about anyone else.
Yeah. And there's always going to have to be that. Raphael wanted to elope, just us, or like our core friends. And I was like, I'm the oldest girl on my dad's side of the family and the first to be married. He's the youngest and the first to be married on his side of the family. So in my eyes, I was like, we can't elope. We have to give our parents a wedding. Like, as long as you guys compromise, that's the best. But I let my stepmom take over a lot of stuff. And there was just a lot where I was doing for other people. And it ended up just being like, I could have spent the same amount of money and had a gorgeous wedding, just our core friends and family, and we could have had the best of both worlds, but we didn't, and it is what it is. But
yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I'm excited for you.
Thank you. I'm excited.
It's so exciting. You're just like everywhere you go, you're like, hey.
No, hey. I know. I literally am like, should I do that trend on TikTok where it's like how many manicures until?
Yes,
I know. I'm being very patient.
You should.
I'm being very patient.
He's probably already got one, and you just don't even know it.
I know. I don't know what he has up his sleeve. All I know is he said he's going to make it where I have no idea it's coming.
Yeah, that's the best.
Yeah, I don't want to know what's coming. I just my only rule is like, I don't care if our family and friends are around, but like when you actually ask, I need it to be just you and I.
Yeah.
Like take me aside. Yeah. Because I will crack.
Also, when you know it's coming, I've had a girlfriend who knew the ring was there, and so every date that came for the next few months, the date would come and go, and she was pissed. Like every date was like, quote unquote shit, and she was like, and I kept telling her, I'm like, stop ruining all these dates. Like those are still fun times to be dating and like having fun. And then when it came, she was like, you were so right. I shouldn't have stressed it. I'm like, ended up being not even on a date. Yeah. He literally proposed in their house. So I'm like, I'm dead. You're an idiot. You just ruined all those moments. But
do you want to do a listener question?
Yeah.
Okay, so this one I picked because this girl's from the Midwest, so it's like, okay,
we love that.
We can relate. Okay, so this is the listener question. I'm a fellow Midwest girl. I just saw your post about friendship breakups, and it really hit home. It's something I've been struggling with myself. My friend and I have been close since 5th grade. We grew up in a small, very cliquey town. Over the years, we've had our up and downs, but always found our way back to each other. For the past 3 years, she's been dating a guy. At first, he seemed great. They were in love, which is all I could ask for her. But recently, now that he's gotten very comfortable around my husband and I, he has started giving unsolicited advice and pointing out things that we're doing wrong in life. His excuse is that he excuses this by saying he has his own issues he's working through. A few weeks ago, we hosted a dinner party, and he disrespected us in our own home by asking questions about friends behind their back. This was the last straw for me. I decided to accept whatever consequences came with it and told her what happened, making it clear that he was no longer welcome in my home. This led to me getting the silent treatment and ultimately the end of our friendship. During the conversation, she flipped it around to me, saying I wasn't a good friend because of how I viewed her. She's private and doesn't let many people in on what's going on in her life. What's your opinion? Is this friendship worth working on, or should I accept it for what it is and just move on?
I hate friendship breakups.
I know, me too. And I feel the very small cliquey town, because I was from like a small town where you were friends with people for a long time because of proximity and because you grew up with them, not because they were good for you in your life.
See, that's where I'm always like, a friend that close for that long, that's not a real friend if they're just like, peace out, bye.
Right.
But I'm on the other girl side of like, if she's in a toxic relationship, the guys will do that, where like the toxic person in the relationship will try to get everyone away from her so he can have the control. So it's hard, because it's like, do you be there for that friend knowing that she's probably being manipulated behind the scenes? I don't know.
Yeah, because it sounds like the problems are coming from just the guy.
Yeah.
And it sucks, because if she chooses this man long term, she's unfortunately going to probably lose a lot of friends along the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you also don't want to be that friend that just like deserts her, because if they're in a toxic relationship, she needs you more than you realize, but she just like doesn't see how much she needs you at that time.
So I had something similar where someone was with a very toxic person, and it had gotten to the point where I was like, I physically can't be your friend. Mm-hmm. Watching the abuse, the manipulation, and then watching the cycle, it's hurting me as your friend. And it's almost like, I had another friend explain it as like, if they're going to drive their own car into a wall, you have to choose, are you going to sit in the passenger seat? Like, can they survive this? I don't know. Who knows, you know? And walking away from that friend, that relationship ended and parted ways. So I'm like, if I would have continued to encourage and be friends and be in that friendship, would the relationship have continued? Or was it walking away from that friend where they were like, oh damn, maybe I should make some other choices because I am going to lose everybody? I don't know. I think if you feel that it's worth fighting for, maybe like give some time, feel it out. Maybe try to have just a one-on-one relationship until, like, go get your nails done, go for coffee, like, do things without the men. But then you also, if you're not inviting her boyfriend, then your husband can't be around. Like, that's something I'm pretty big on, of like, if I wanted a relationship with just a girlfriend, it's very hypocritical for me to still bring my husband.
Yeah.
It's hard, though, because you got to, and also, if that friend is just to drop you and pick the guy, it's like, just wait it out. You never know.
Yeah. No, I actually really like what you said. I think that she could maybe change the type of friendship they have and don't do couple things, maybe only hang out with her even in like groups of girls until things get settled. But I'm just like, I'm not a big believer of when you break up with a friend, it just being like a nasty breakup, you never speak again. Like, I'm more of maybe just do like a soft fizzle until things get figured out. I don't think there ever needs to be like so much hatred between two people. Yeah. So hopefully maybe she just takes time, the other friend can figure it out, but this is a really tough situation. Yeah,
friendship breakups I feel like are harder than boy breakups.
They're so hard. So I feel for her. Mm-hmm. Okay, so before we wrap, we always do recs.
Okay.
So what's your rec of the week?
Rec of the week. I'm going to go Midwest because we've been Midwest vibes.
Mine's Midwest one too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Funny. Okay, so Midwest-wise, I always get asked like where in Minneapolis to go, where in St. Paul to go. So I'm going to give some Midwestern recommendations for the Twin Cities.
Oh, I love that.
I love Red Rabbit.
And Red Cow.
Red Rabbit is my go-to. Red Cow is phenomenal, too.
Red Rabbit's actually my favorite restaurant in Minneapolis.
It is so unbelievably good.
Their pizza and charcuterie board, and they have the best wine.
And the best espresso martinis. Yes, and the best cheese curd, garlic bread. Have you had those? The garlic bread cheese curds?
Cheese curds are not a thing out here, and I made Pete try, he's celiac, but I made him try cheese curds for the first time, like, when he was in Minnesota a couple months ago.
So I had never heard of cheese curds until I moved to Minnesota.
Yeah, they're like not a thing anywhere else.
Yeah, no.
Oh my God, and what are they in Red Rabbit? The cheese curds?
They're garlic bread cheese curds. They are so good. When you go back, you have to try them.
I will.
And then what was my other one that I love up there? Handsome Hog has the best espresso martinis.
Okay, I've not been there yet.
Handsome Hog, actually, they were so good. My dad and I used to go there all the time. And then when he passed, they made espresso martini batches for his funeral. And now their espresso martini is named for Bill. Yeah, it's very funny. It's like a funny small world story. But yeah, and they actually are the best. So I'm like, that's why I hype them, not just because they're named after my dad. But And then what else is like another really fun thing to do up in Minnesota? Obviously, the Mall of America, I say, is actually worth it.
Yeah.
Especially now living in Texas. In Texas, we have sales tax. So I was like, ooh, it's almost worth the flight.
Oh my
to
God,
go
yeah.
back.
I always take my friends there, especially
Yeah.
out-of-state friends, because they're like, we can go shopping and get such good discounts.
Yeah, absolutely. And
to
then
think.
lastly is I feel like everyone, even like moving to Minneapolis is kind of far from Stillwater, so not a lot of people go out to Stillwater. I love Stillwater.
So beautiful.
I love it.
I love those wrecks. Those
So
are good
I got
ones.
some Midwest ones for you.
That's good. So mine is, are you a reader at all?
Love.
Have you read any of Abby Jimenez?
Yeah, Jimenez.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that how you pronounce it, Jimenez?
Yes. Just for the Summer is like, it engrossed me for like 4 hours. I finished in 4 hours.
Okay, I'm reading her first book,
Okay.
The Part of Your World.
Okay. So I apparently read it out of order. I didn't know there was a series until I posted on Instagram and everyone was like, this is part of a series.
Yeah.
Just for the Summer is so unbelievably good. It
Really?
literally got me hooked on her and now I got to read her other ones.
Okay, so I'm starting with part of Your World, and then I'll
Okay.
do Just for the Summer. But once I found out she was from Minneapolis, I was like, I'm sold.
Yeah.
I love that.
And it's funny that so in Just for the Summer, they talk about a billboard that's like all over the Twin Cities.
Okay.
Granted, it's different in the book, but you know the Chris Lindahl?
Yes!
It's based off of that.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's really-
I heard she talks about Minneapolis locations
Yeah.
throughout her books, which,
It's so fun
love.
when you can picture it.
yes.
That's why I like movies. But then when I got into books, I felt like I liked it because I could make my own imagination, like run wild. But it is also kind of nice to like know the areas and the towns and such. Yeah.
I love that. So yeah, that's my rec.
Are you part of Book of the Month?
I'm not.
So Book of the Month is like, I've actually had podcast ads for it. That's how I found out about them. They sponsored our podcast, and it's basically like you sign up for it. It's a subscription, but they come directly to your door. But they have like hundreds of readers that literally pick the top 30 books of the month, and then you can choose from them. I don't think it's 30 books. I think it's like 15 or 10 or something.
Oh.
But yeah, it's like a monthly subscription, and you just pick like there's no bad read in there. Every single thing I've gotten from them has been so good. And the other like ADHD kind of OCD thing that I have is all the books are the exact same size.
Okay.
So that's like a really big deal because I'm like, they're
Interesting.
all hardcover. Anyways.
Okay,
really
so
like
I was
them.
going to ask if they're physical or can you do audio? They're
I
physical?
don't know because I don't really do audio. I'm actually a physical girly and I don't really care for the Kindle or anything.
Yeah.
I really need the book. So that's why I like them and recommend them to other people because I know that the Kindles are cool and like you can get unlimited books for basically cheap.
Yeah.
Very cheap, but I'm just not a Kindle girl.
So what's the book you're reading right now?
I just finished The Paradise Problem, another Book of the Month one. Very
Okay.
good. And now I'm on The Unhoneymooners by that same author.
Okay.
Have you read those?
I have not, but I've seen the cover of the Unhoneymooners before.
Okay. It's very popular.
Okay.
I think Paradise Problem was so much better, though, so
Okay.
far. I can't get the Unhoneymooners. I'm like trying to get into. It's another St. Paul based one.
What's the author's name?
Christina Lauren.
Oh, she's from St. Paul?
I don't know if she's from there, but I know the Unhoneymooners is based out of St. Paul.
Okay. Love that. And then I'm doing Part of Your World. I love books. I'm in a
I know.
book.
I'm like,
I'm in a
let's
book
talk
era.
about books. I was saying that the other day. I had a brand dinner in Austin, actually, and we were literally talking about our pets and our books that everyone was reading. I was like, when did I get this? Oh,
I could talk about dogs and books all day
all
long.
day long. I'm like sitting here like, here's my dog. People are like, okay.
I love that. Well, Catherine, thank you so much for being
Yeah.
on Mean Girl Pod. Before we go, where can everyone find you?
Everywhere. I don't shut up. Instagram, TikTok. I do have a podcast, but I'm kind of quieting out of that right now. But there's a bunch of episodes, especially if you need something to relate to. I talk about anything and everything on all my platforms. So it's just Catherine Ebs, EBS, E as in Edward, B as in boy.
I love that.
Everyone always thinks it's a V, but it's not.
Interesting. No, she's a great follow. I love your
Thank
your
you.
platforms.
Thank you.
I love that you just tell everything. I'm like,
It's got
I
me in
need
a lot
this
of
today.
trouble. It's got me in a lot of trouble.
But it's so great.
But it's also got me to a lot of experiences. So
yes.
here we are.
So thank you
Thank you
again
for having
being,
me.
Of course.
I'm excited.
Okay, you guys, we will see you next Monday. Bye.
Bye.
This episode is sponsored by Anytime Fitness. As we're entering the winter months, it's all about staying focused on your goals, how you move, what you put in your body, and how you recover from the stresses of life. And Anytime Fitness has the coaching, tools, technology, and space to help you with all of that. Personally, my favorite thing about Anytime Fitness is that there is an inclusive vibe. Everyone is so welcoming, and being around so many other people working on their health and wellness is motivating. I love that I can go in and do my own thing or connect with a coach who knows exactly how to push me and my goals, and I can have fun along the way. I also love that the support doesn't end with training. They also focus on my body's intelligence, nutrition, and recovery with tons of expert resources in the Anytime app. Also, if you've just moved to a new city like we have and you're looking to join the community, joining Anytime Fitness is the move. Be sure to check out Anytime Fitness via the link in today's episode description for more information. And if you join participating location Anytime Fitness from now through December 2nd, you'll get the rest of the year free. So if you join any location now through December 2nd, you'll get the rest of the year free. Okay, that's it for today's episode. As always, thank you for listening to Mean Girl Pod, powered by Just Media House. I'm Alex Bennett.
And I'm Jordyn Woodruff. So AB, do what you do best.
If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, rate, and review. We are at Mean Girl Pod on all platforms. Stay connected with us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and Snapchat at Mean Girl Pod. Podcast and social artwork and post-production by Creative Evolution Studios. Theme song to the Mean Girl Pod performed by Sergi Asbel. Mean Girl Pod, we're your besties in your ear. New episodes every Monday.